The vote took 3 hours. Each species had to consult their home governments. Messages flew across the galaxy at faster than light speeds. Billions of beings watched their representatives debate humanity's fate and their own complicity in ancient crimes. Captain Daewon and Dr. Yuna waited in a private chamber, neither speaking. Bora sat with them, her hands shaking slightly. After so many years away from her people, she felt caught between two worlds. Finally, the council reconvened. Chancellor Mirven stood at the central podium, his face showing the weight of the decision. "The Galactic Council has voted," he announced. "By a majority of 73%, we accept humanity's terms. We will provide the resources necessary to repair Earth's sun. We will pay reparations for Ganymede over 50 years. As requested, we formally recognize humanity as a sovereign galactic power with all rights and protections." The chamber filled with a mix of cheers and protests, but Mirvan continued. "Furthermore, we establish an independent commission to investigate the events leading to the First Contact War. Those responsible for authorizing the Ganymede attack will face justice." He turned to face Captain Daewon directly. "We also accept your offer of defensive technology exchange and mutual defense treaties. We hope this marks the beginning of a new era of cooperation between humanity and the galaxy." Daewon stood and bowed formally. "On behalf of Earth and all humanity, I accept these terms. We will begin preparations for technology transfer immediately. Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you all." As the formal session ended, delegates crowded around the humans, some offering congratulations, others asking technical questions about stellar repair. The mood was cautious but hopeful. Admiral Crossitar approached Daewon, his scales no longer flushed with anger. "Your Commander Hana showed remarkable restraint. She could have destroyed those ships. She could have," Daewon agreed. "But we didn't come here for revenge. We came for survival." "Your species has changed greatly," Crossitar observed. "Yes, but in many ways we're still the same. We still protect our home. We still care for our people. We've just become better at it." Over the next few days, the real work began. Dr. Yuna met with the Council's top scientists to discuss Sol's condition. She shared detailed analysis of the damage and explained the stellar regeneration process humanity had developed. "We need 3 specific rare isotopes," Yuna explained, showing holographic models. "They exist naturally only in the cores of collapsed neutron stars. The Council has mining operations in 3 locations where these isotopes can be harvested. With your help, we can gather enough material in 5 years to begin repairs." A Coran scientist named Dr. Velmix studied the data carefully. "This is incredible work. The mathematics alone must have taken decades to develop." 57 years, Yuna confirmed, with the help of quantum computing networks and enhanced human minds working in parallel. "We couldn't have done it with normal human capabilities." "And this neural enhancement," Velmix asked cautiously, "is it reversible?" Yuna was quiet for a moment. "Some of us can disconnect from the ship's systems and live relatively normal lives. Others have integrated so deeply that separation would be fatal. We made our choices knowing the risks. Do you regret it?" "Ask me after we save Earth," Yuna replied with a small smile. "Then I'll tell you." Meanwhile, Chief Engineer Taemin gave technical demonstrations to Council engineers. He showed them JÖRMUNGANDR's shield technology, explaining the principles behind its operation. "The shield doesn't block weapons," Taemin explained. "It phase shifts the protected area slightly out of normal space-time. Incoming fire passes through where the ship was, not where it is. The effect only lasts milliseconds, but that's enough." "Can this technology be scaled down?" an engineer asked. "For use on smaller vessels or even ground installations?" "Yes," Taemin confirmed. "We've already designed smaller versions. We'll share those designs as part of the treaty. Every Council world will have access to this defensive technology within 2 years." The engineer stared at him. "You're just giving this away?" "We're trading it for help saving our world," Taemin corrected. "But yes, we want you to have it. Because when the external threats come, and they will come, we'll need to stand together." "What external threats?" the engineer asked nervously. Taemin pointed to a display showing long-range sensor data. "JÖRMUNGANDR detected something 18 months ago. A fleet of unknown origin approaching from beyond the galactic rim. We don't know who they are or what they want, but they're coming, and they're powerful. You're going to need better defenses. We all are." Back on Council Prime, Bora met privately with Captain Daewon. I've been thinking about your offer, she said. To come home to Earth, and? I want to accept. But I'm afraid. I've been away for so long. Will I even recognize it? Day One smiled. Earth has changed, but it's still home. There are still forests and oceans and cities. There are still people living normal lives, having families, dreaming dreams. Not everyone is like us, Bora. Most humans are just people. You'll fit in just fine. What about you? Bora asked. When this is done, when Earth is saved, will you be able to go back to being just a person? Day One looked out at the stars through the station window. I don't know. I've been connected to JÖRMUNGANDR for 30 years. It's part of me now. But I hope that someday I can walk on Earth without carrying the weight of a warship in my mind. I hope I can remember what it's like to be fully human. A week later, JÖRMUNGANDR prepared to depart Council Prime. The massive ship had become a symbol of humanity's return to the galaxy. Crowds gathered to watch it leave, their feelings mixed between awe and fear. Commander Hana stood on the bridge beside Captain Day One. All systems ready for departure, Captain. Course set for Earth. Before we go, Day One said, I want to address the crew. He opened a ship-wide channel. This is Captain Day One. We've accomplished our mission. We've secured the resources and cooperation we need to save Earth. We've shown the galaxy that humanity cannot be ignored or dismissed. But more importantly, we've proven that we can still choose peace over war. I'm proud of every one of you. Our ancestors would be proud. Now let's go home. The crew responded with messages of acknowledgement, their voices merging into a chorus of human and machine, biological and digital, all united in purpose. As JÖRMUNGANDR began to move, pilot Subin merged her consciousness with the ship's navigation systems. She felt the massive vessel respond to her thoughts, felt the power of the engines through her nervous system, felt the stars calling to her through quantum-entangled sensors. She remembered her daughter, lost in the war so long ago. She had chosen this path, this transformation, because she couldn't face death knowing her daughter's sacrifice meant nothing. Now helping to save Earth, she finally felt that the sacrifice had meaning. Taking us to FTL, Subin announced, and her voice had the strange harmonics of someone speaking through both organic vocal cords and digital processors. JÖRMUNGANDR accelerated smoothly, leaving Council Prime behind. The ship entered faster than light travel, and the stars stretched into lines of light. On Earth, 12 billion humans went about their daily lives, most unaware of the drama that had unfolded in the galaxy. They walked in cities built over centuries of isolation. They raised children who knew nothing of alien species or galactic politics. They lived and loved and dreamed, protected by people like Day One and his crew who had given up part of their humanity, so the rest could remain human. In orbit of Council Prime, construction began on humanity's first embassy. The building was designed to blend human and alien architecture, a symbol of the new partnership. Dr. Yuna volunteered to stay behind as Earth's chief scientific liaison, beginning collaborative projects with council researchers. Bora moved into a small apartment near the embassy. She would serve as a cultural advisor, helping both sides understand each other. For the first time in centuries, she felt like she had a purpose. Chancellor Meyer-Venn addressed the council one final time about the human situation. We made mistakes 300 years ago. We created the monster we feared, but perhaps we've been given a second chance. The humans aren't monsters. They're survivors, and maybe with their help we'll all survive what's coming. He was referring to the approaching fleet from beyond the galaxy. Long-range probes had confirmed its existence. Thousands of ships, unknown design, unknown purpose. They would arrive in approximately 18 months. The Council voted unanimously to form a joint defense initiative with humanity. If the unknown fleet proved hostile, the galaxy would face it together. Aboard JÖRMUNGANDR, as the ship raced through faster-than-light space toward home, Captain Day One sat in his private quarters. He looked at an old photograph, one of the few physical objects he kept. It showed Earth from space, blue and beautiful, taken before the war. We're coming home, he whispered to the image. And we're not alone anymore. In the ship's engine room, Chief Engineer Taemin monitored the micro-singularity that powered JÖRMUNGANDR. The contained black hole pulsed with barely restrained energy, a star's death transformed into life and power. It was a fitting metaphor for humanity itself. In the medical bay, Dr. Yuna had left detailed notes for her replacement. She had chosen to stay at Council Prime, but she had prepared. Commander Hana sat in the captain's chair aboard JÖRMUNGANDR, monitoring dozens of displays simultaneously. With Captain Daewon on the station, she was in command. The responsibility weighed on her, but she was ready. "Commander," called out the sensor officer, "I'm detecting a spatial distortion. 3 objects cloaked approaching at high speed." Hana's eyes narrowed. Classification? Unknown. The signature matches Talvarian phase shift technology. Experimental stealth cruisers. Hana stood up slowly. "Battle stations. All defensive systems online. Do not fire unless fired upon." Throughout the massive ship, systems came alive. Crew members at hundreds of stations prepared for combat. But Hana hoped it wouldn't come to that. She opened a channel to the approaching ships. "Attention unidentified vessels. You are on an attack vector toward this position. Alter your course immediately or you will be classified as hostile." No response came back. The 3 stealth cruisers dropped their cloaking fields simultaneously. They were sleek, deadly ships, each one armed with some of the galaxy's most advanced weapons. Their torpedo tubes opened, revealing the dark interior. "They're locking weapons," the tactical officer reported. "Phase shift torpedoes, designed to bypass shields and detonate inside a target's hull." Hana made her decision in a fraction of a second. "Activate hull phase variance field. Prepare for impact. Do not return fire." "Commander?" The tactical officer looked confused. "I said, do not return fire. Not yet." The 3 cruisers fired together. 9 torpedoes, each capable of destroying a battleship, streaked through space toward JÖRMUNGANDR. They were supposed to phase through the ship's hull and explode inside, tearing the vessel apart from within. The torpedoes struck exactly where they were aimed. Every species in the galaxy watched through countless broadcast feeds, holding their breath. For 3 long seconds, nothing happened. Then JÖRMUNGANDR's black hull rippled like water. The surface shifted, changed, absorbed the massive explosions as if they were nothing more than raindrops. Energy that should have torn the ship apart simply disappeared into the strange metal. The ship didn't even slow down. On the council station, alarms blared. Chancellor Mirven rushed back to the command center where he found Captain Daewon and Dr. Yuna already watching the displays. "Your ship is under attack," Mirven shouted. "Who authorized this?" "No one you know about, I suspect," Daewon said calmly. "There are always factions who prefer war to peace. Will your ship retaliate?" "That depends on Commander Hana. I trust her judgment." Aboard JÖRMUNGANDR, Hana stood perfectly still, making calculations in her mind. She could destroy those 3 ships easily. 1 shot would be enough. But violence now would destroy everything Captain Daewon was trying to achieve. She made her choice. "Target the space next to the lead cruiser," Hana ordered. "Fire a directed vacuum decay pulse. 3% power. Make it visible." 3%? The weapons officer asked. "Commander, that's barely—" "Do it." The weapon charged for 2 seconds. Then a beam of pure white light lanced out from JÖRMUNGANDR. It didn't hit any of the Talvarian ships. Instead, it touched the empty space beside them. Reality screamed. A perfect sphere of nothing appeared in space, 3 kilometers wide. Not an explosion, not a fireball, just absence. Matter ceased to exist within that sphere. The atomic bonds holding everything together simply stopped working. Molecules fell apart into their component atoms. Then those atoms dissolved into fundamental particles. Then even those particles vanished into pure energy that radiated away into nothing. When the effect ended 3 seconds later, there was a perfect spherical hole in space where stars could be seen more clearly, because there wasn't even dust to block the view. Hana's voice broadcast to the Talvarian cruisers. "That was 3% power, aimed at empty space. The next shot will be at full power and it won't miss. Withdraw immediately." The 3 stealth cruisers turned and fled at maximum speed, their crews too terrified to think of anything except escape. In the council chambers, every delegate sat in stunned silence. They had just watched a weapon erase matter from existence. Not destroy it, not scatter it. Simply make it stop being. Counselor Velthar found his voice first. What? What was that? Dr. Yuna answered quietly. A directed vacuum decay pulse. It creates a localized false vacuum collapse. Essentially, it makes the laws of physics stop working in a specific area. Matter can't exist if the fundamental forces holding it together aren't operating. How is such a thing even possible? Meyerven demanded. 300 years of research, Yuna replied. 300 years of humanity pushing every boundary of physics, engineering, and mathematics. 300 years of making sure we would never be victims again. Captain Daewon spoke up. Chancellor, I believe it's time I was completely honest with you. JÖRMUNGANDR isn't just a warship, it's a mobile stellar engineering platform. Our ship can manipulate space-time, generate controlled singularities, and access quantum computing substrates. The crew you see aren't entirely human anymore. We've augmented ourselves, connected our minds to the ship's systems. When we fight as one consciousness distributed across thousands of bodies. You're machines, someone whispered in horror. No, Daewon said firmly. We're still human. We still feel, still think, still hope and fear and love. We've just given ourselves better tools, better defenses. He paused. But we didn't come here to threaten you with these capabilities. We came here because we need your help. Our help? Meyerven asked in disbelief. After that demonstration, what could you possibly need from us? Daewon's expression grew somber. Our sun is dying. During the war, the Draxian hegemony deployed ancient weapons in our system as a failsafe. They were designed to destabilize Sol if the war turned against them. We discovered them too late. They've been slowly poisoning our star for centuries. In less than 200 years, our sun will go supernova. We need to relocate our population or find a way to repair the damage. We can't do either alone. The chamber was absolutely silent. This changed everything. You're telling us, Velthar said slowly, that all this power you've developed, was for survival? Everything we've done has been for survival, Daewon confirmed. We became what we are because the alternative was extinction. We built JÖRMUNGANDR because we needed something that could protect us absolutely. We enhanced ourselves because human bodies and minds alone weren't enough. But now, we've reached the limits of what we can do by ourselves. We need resources from the galactic core to build stellar regeneration systems. We need scientific cooperation to repair our sun. We need time, and we need help. Chief Engineer Taimin appeared on a holographic display, broadcasting from JÖRMUNGANDR. I've spent 50 years studying our sun's condition. We have partial solutions, but we lack rare elements that only exist in the oldest stellar cores. Elements that the Council has access to, but we don't. Dr. Yuna added, We're not asking for charity. We're offering fair exchange. We'll share our defensive shield technology. We'll help protect Council worlds from external threats. We'll be allies. But we need those resources, and we need them within the next decade to start the repair process. Chancellor Meyerven sat down heavily. So the weapon demonstration, the show of force, that was all to make sure we took you seriously. Yes, Daewon admitted. We needed you to understand that we're not begging. We are negotiating from strength. We can take what we need by force, but we would prefer to trade for it. We would prefer to be partners, not enemies. Counselor Tekrim spoke up. If your sun is dying, why not simply evacuate? With your technology, surely you could find new worlds. Earth is our home, Daewon said simply. 12 billion humans live there. They're not enhanced like we are. They're just people, living normal lives, raising families, building futures. We won't abandon them. We won't abandon our world. Not while there's any chance to save it. At that moment, Bora stepped forward from the observation area. Security tried to stop her, but Captain Daewon nodded permission. I want to say something, Bora announced to the Council. I'm human. I left Earth before the war. I've lived among you for centuries. I've watched you debate and discuss. I've seen your kindness and your cruelty. She paused. The humans you're talking to aren't monsters. They're people who were pushed to their absolute limits and survived. Yes, they're powerful. Yes, they're dangerous. But they're also asking for help. They're trying to save their home. Isn't that something any of us would do? She pulled out a data chip. I have something you need to see. Classified documents from before the war. I've kept them hidden for decades. They prove that the attack on Ganymede Station wasn't a rogue action by the Draxians. It was approved by a secret council vote. You wanted to test humanity, to see how they'd respond to violence. You created the war. You created the monsters you now fear. Bora uploaded the files to the council's central database. Every delegate could now see the truth. Secret communications, voting records, orders to the Draxian fleet to assess human military capacity through limited engagement. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted at each other in a dozen languages. Some denied the documents were real. Others demanded investigations. The Draxian representative fled the chamber. Council Prime hung in space like a jewel. The planet was home to the Galactic Council's central government, where representatives from hundreds of species gathered to make decisions affecting trillions of lives. Now, that beautiful world was preparing for war. Chancellor Mirven stood in the command center, watching holographic displays that showed the orbital defense grid coming online. Thousands of weapon platforms, hundreds of defense stations, all powered by the most advanced technology the galaxy could produce. Will it be enough? Asked Counselor Tech Reem, a small amphibious creature standing beside the Chancellor. I hope we don't have to find out, Mirven replied. But if that human ship tries to attack, we'll give it everything we have. Ambassador Velthar entered the command center, moving quickly. Chancellor, I have new information. You need to hear this. Velthar pulled up the historical data he had gathered. He showed the Chancellor everything about the First Contact War, the Sleeping God Protocol, and the intelligence reports about human advancement. Mirven's face grew darker as he reviewed the information. Why wasn't I briefed on this before? Most of it was classified or forgotten, Velthar admitted. But the important thing is what it tells us. That ship isn't just a vessel, it's a statement. Humanity is showing us they're no longer the weak species we defeated centuries ago. Then what do they want? I believe they want to negotiate, but from a position of absolute strength. At that moment, alarms blared across the command center. JÖRMUNGANDR had just entered the Council Prime system. The massive black ship appeared on every screen, moving steadily toward the planet. They're here, someone whispered. Chancellor Mirven took a deep breath and opened a communication channel. This is Chancellor Mirven of the Galactic Council. Human vessel JÖRMUNGANDR, state your intentions. Captain Day One's calm voice responded immediately. Chancellor, I request permission to address the full council. I will come to your station alone and unarmed. We have matters to discuss that affect both humanity and the galaxy. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some argued it was a trick. Others said it was too dangerous to allow a human onto Council Prime. But after 3 hours of heated discussion, they agreed. Captain Day One would be allowed to speak. The shuttle that left JÖRMUNGANDR was small and simple. It carried only 2 people, Captain Day One and Dr. Yuna. As they approached Council Prime's main station, dozens of warships surrounded them, weapons trained on the tiny craft. Nervous? Yuna asked quietly. Terrified, Day One admitted. But someone has to do this. They docked at the station and were met by heavily armed security forces. The alien stared at the 2 humans with a mixture of fear and curiosity. It had been so long since anyone had seen a human in person. Bora stood in the crowd of observers. When she saw Day One and Yuna, tears filled her eyes. They looked so human, yet somehow different. There was something about their movements, their expressions, that seemed both familiar and alien. The council chamber was enormous, with seats for representatives from every member species. Day One and Yuna were escorted to the center, where they stood on a circular platform that rotated slowly so everyone could see them. Chancellor Mirven spoke first. Captain Day One of Earth, you have requested this audience. Speak. Day One bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. When he spoke, his voice was clear and steady. Honorable members of the Galactic Council, I come here not as a conqueror but as a messenger. Humanity has remained isolated for 287 years, as agreed in the peace treaty. We honored our word. We stayed in our system. We bothered no one. He paused, letting his words sink in. But the council did not honor the treaty. 7 times in the past century, your vessels have entered human space. Some came to spy. Others came out of curiosity. Each time we detected them. Each time we disabled their systems and pushed them back out. We could have destroyed them. We chose not to. The chamber buzzed with whispered conversations. Mirvan raised a hand for silence. Continue. Humanity's patience has limits, Daewon said. We have decided it's time to rejoin the galactic community. But we will do so on fair terms, not as subjects or victims. We come with 3 demands. You dare make demands? Roared Admiral Croster from his seat. You have 1 ship. We have millions. Daewon looked at the Admiral calmly. Yes, 1 ship. Shall we discuss what 1 ship can do? Before Crostar could respond, Daewon continued. Our first demand. Formal recognition of humanity as a sovereign galactic power with all rights and protections that entails. Our second demand. Full reparations for the Ganymede massacre to be paid over the next 50 years. Our third demand. Establishment of mutual defense treaties and limited technology exchange. We will share defensive technology. In exchange, we need access to rare resources found only in the galactic core. The chamber exploded in shouts. Some delegates were outraged. Others were confused. How could one species dictate terms to the entire galaxy? Counselor Velthar stood. Captain, your demands are substantial. What makes you think we'll agree to them? Because the alternative is worse, Daewon said simply. For everyone. Is that a threat? Chancellor Mirvan asked carefully. It's a fact, Daewon replied. We're offering partnership. We're offering to share technology that could revolutionize your defensive capabilities. We're offering to help protect the galaxy from future threats. But we won't be ignored or dismissed. Those days are over. Counselor Tekrim spoke up in his squeaking voice. You speak of sharing defensive technology, but that ship of yours seems quite offensive. Perhaps you could demonstrate that it's truly meant for defense. Daewon smiled slightly. You want proof of our capabilities? Yes, Mirvan said. Show us what JÖRMUNGANDR can really do. Daewon tapped a device on his wrist, opening a communication channel to his ship. Commander Hana, the Council requests a demonstration. Please access their central computer core and shut down the environmental systems in this chamber. Just for a moment. Before anyone could react, the lights went out. The artificial gravity cut off, sending delegates floating into the air. The temperature dropped rapidly. Oxygen levels began to fall. Panic spread through the chamber as aliens gasped and shouted. Then, just as suddenly, everything returned to normal. Gravity pulled the delegates back into their seats. Lights came back on. Air flowed again. The chamber was completely silent. Daewon's voice was quiet, but everyone heard it clearly. JÖRMUNGANDR accessed your central computer core from 11 million kilometers away. Your most secure system, protected by layers of encryption that would take normal computers millions of years to break. We did it in seconds. We could have detonated your planet's fusion reactors. We could have crashed your orbital platforms into the surface. We could have depressurized every habitat on this station. He looked around at the frightened faces, but we didn't. Because we're not here to destroy. We're here to talk. We're here to find a way forward. Together. Chancellor Mirvan gripped his chair, struggling to maintain composure. You've made your point, Captain. But you must understand. This council cannot make such important decisions under threat. Then don't think of it as a threat, Daewon said. Think of it as information. You need to know what we're capable of so you can make an informed choice. We're not asking you to surrender. We're not asking you to serve us. We're asking you to treat us as equals. Bora, watching from the observation area, found herself smiling despite the tension. She whispered to herself, they really have changed. But they're still human. They still hope. The council debated for 2 hours. Some wanted to accept humanity's terms immediately. Others wanted to refuse and take their chances. The military faction, led by the Talvarian Empire, proposed a middle path. Give humanity some concessions, but not everything they asked for. Finally, Chancellor Mirvan spoke. Captain Daewon, the Council needs time to deliberate properly. Such important decisions cannot be rushed. We request 12 hours to discuss and vote. Daewon nodded. 12 hours. That's acceptable. Dr. Yuna and I will remain on this station as a gesture of good faith. But know this, if any harm comes to us, Commander Hana has orders to respond. Not with violence against your people, but by leaving. And if we leave now, we won't be coming back. Not for a very long time. No harm will come to you, Mirvan promised. You have my word. As the session ended, Bora worked up the courage to approach the humans. Security tried to stop her, but Daewon waved them away. "You're human," Bora said, her voice shaking. "I haven't seen another human in over a century." Daewon studied her carefully. "You left before the war." "Yes, I was a colonist. I chose to stay when Earth withdrew." She hesitated.
Are we?
"Are we monsters now? What we've become?" Daewon's expression softened. "We became what we needed to survive. But we're still human, still capable of kindness and hope. We just have better defenses now." He smiled. "What's your name?" "Bora. Would you like to come home, Bora? Earth always welcomes its children back." Bora started crying, unable to speak. While the council debated, something else was happening. Deep in council space, 3 Talvarian stealth cruisers broke formation. They had orders from a radical faction within their government. Destroy JÖRMUNGANDR before the council could agree to humanity's terms. Ambassador Velthar sat in his private office, reading the ancient file that Pryx had discovered. His hands trembled slightly as he scrolled through the fragments. Sleeping God Protocol, the words haunted him. "We need to understand what happened during the war," Velthar said to his assistant. "Bring me everything we have on the First Contact War. Everything." 2 hours later, his office was filled with holographic displays showing battle reports, diplomatic records, and historical accounts. Velthar began to piece together a story that most of the galaxy had tried to forget. The war had started 287 years ago. Humanity had just invented faster-than-light travel and encountered the Galactic Council for the first time. Initial meetings were tense but peaceful. The Council was cautious about the newcomers. Humans were aggressive, unpredictable, and worryingly creative. Then the Draxian hegemony decided to test the humans. They wanted to see how the primitive species would respond to a real threat. Without council approval but with quiet support from several members, the Draxians attacked a human colony called Ganymede Station. The attack was brutal. 3 million humans died in 6 hours. The Draxians used chemical weapons and intentionally targeted civilians. They wanted to send a message about humanity's place in the galaxy. They got a response, but not the one they expected. Earth's united government declared total war on the Draxian hegemony. The Council, bound by defense treaties, was forced to support the Draxians. What everyone expected to be a quick extermination of the primitive humans became something else entirely. Velthar pulled up combat footage from the early war. Human ships were crude compared to galactic vessels. They were slower, had weaker shields and less advanced weapons. But they fought with a ferocity that shocked everyone. Human tactics were considered barbaric. They didn't respect traditional rules of engagement. They targeted supply lines, used suicide attacks, and showed no mercy to defeated enemies. The Council member species lost ships they thought were invincible. Entire fleets disappeared. The humans introduced weapons the galaxy considered illegal. Nuclear bombs in space combat, biological agents, artificial intelligence weapons. They fought like cornered animals, and they were frighteningly effective. The war lasted 11 months. Humanity was pushed back slowly, losing colony after colony until only Earth and its moon remained. The combined Council fleets prepared for a final assault on the human homeworld. They expected the humans to surrender. Instead, something strange happened. Human ships stopped retreating. They stopped broadcasting standard communications. They just fought with cold, perfect efficiency. The casualty rates for Council forces tripled overnight. Velthar found a report from a Council admiral named Tyriok. The admiral described the final months of the war. "The humans have changed. They move as one mind. Their ships coordinate with impossible precision. When we destroy one vessel, the others adapt instantly. It's as if we're fighting a single entity with 1,000 bodies. I recommend immediate cessation of hostilities. We're losing 3 ships for every human vessel destroyed. At this rate, we'll run out of ships before they do." The report was marked classified and had been ignored by Council leadership at the time. But 3 weeks later, after 40 billion alien casualties, the Council finally sued for peace. Velthar found the peace treaty documents. Humanity's demands were simple but absolute. Complete isolation. The Council would never enter human territory again. In exchange, humans would withdraw from all galactic space and never return. The Council agreed eagerly. They wanted the nightmare to end. Earth went silent. For 287 years, no one heard from humanity. No ships left their system. No transmissions were detected. The humans had vanished as if they had never existed, until now. Velthar pulled up one more document. It was a classified intelligence report from 60 years after the war. A Council spy probe had briefly entered human space before being destroyed. In the microseconds before its destruction, it had captured some data. The report read, "Human population, stable at 12 billion. Evidence of massive industrial construction throughout the Sol system. Energy signatures consistent with stellar engineering projects. Warning, humans appear to have made significant technological advances. Recommend continued isolation policy." That was the last real information anyone had about humanity, until JÖRMUNGANDR appeared. Velthar called for Pryax. When the young analyst arrived, he showed her everything he had found. "What happened to them?" Pryax asked quietly. "What did we turn them into?" "I think," Velthar said slowly, "they turned themselves into something that could never be threatened again. And now they're coming back." On the other side of the galaxy, a woman named Bora sat in a small apartment on a council world. She was human. One of only 300 humans who had left Earth before the war and chosen to stay in galactic space. For decades, she had lived quietly, trying to forget her origins. Her communicator buzzed. It was a message from Council Intelligence. They wanted to speak with her urgently about the approaching human vessel. Bora stared at the message for a long time. She had spent decades building a new life. She had changed her appearance, learned new languages, and tried to blend in. Most people didn't even know she was human, but now her past was coming back. She accepted the meeting request. 2 hours later, Bora sat across from a Council intelligence officer in a secure room. The officer, a Koran with blue skin and large eyes, pushed a datapad toward her. "We need your help," the officer said. "You're one of the few humans we have access to. We need to understand what we're facing." Bora looked at the images of JÖRMUNGANDR on the pad. Her breath caught. The ship was beautiful in a terrible way. It looked alive, organic, despite being made of metal. The design was unlike anything from her time on Earth. "I don't know anything about this," Bora said honestly. "I left Earth 290 years ago. Before the war, I was a colonist, not military. But you understand human thinking, human culture." Bora laughed bitterly. "I understood human culture 300 years ago. I have no idea what humans are like now. They've had nearly 3 centuries of isolation. They could be completely different." The officer leaned forward. "We know that 7 times in the past century, Council vessels have accidentally entered human space. Each time the ships were disabled and pushed back out, but not destroyed. The humans could have killed them, but didn't. What does that tell you?" Bora thought carefully. "It tells me they're still capable of restraint. They still follow some kind of moral code. But it also tells me they're watching. They know everything that happens near their territory. Could they be planning an invasion? If they wanted to invade," Bora said quietly, "they wouldn't send one ship. They'd send a fleet. No, this is something else. This is a message." "A what message?" "That they're done hiding. That they're ready to be part of the galaxy again. On their terms." Meanwhile, JÖRMUNGANDR continued its journey toward Council Prime. Inside the ship, Commander Hana stood in the observation deck, watching the stars. Captain Daewon joined her. 3 more attempts to stop us," Hana reported. "All failed. We disabled their weapon systems each time." "Any casualties?" Daewon asked. "None, as ordered." Daewon nodded, satisfied. "We need them to understand we're not here to conquer, just to be heard. Do you think they'll listen?" "They don't have much choice," Daewon said. "But I hope they choose to listen anyway. We need allies, not enemies." Hana turned to face her captain. "Sir, the crew is asking questions. They want to know if we'll have to fight. Tell them we'll do everything possible to avoid it." "But if we have to fight?" Daewon paused. "Tell them we'll win. We always do." In another part of the ship, Dr. Yuna worked in her laboratory, studying the biological samples she had collected from the crew. She made notes on her computer, her expression troubled. Chief Engineer Taemin entered the lab. "You look worried, Doctor." "I am worried," Yuna admitted. "I'm studying the neural integration data. Our crew's connection to the ship's systems is stronger than it should be. Some of them are spending more time merged with the ship than in their own bodies. Is that dangerous? I don't know. We're in uncharted territory. We've pushed human evolution in directions it was never meant to go. I just hope we still remember how to be human when this is all over. Taman was quiet for a moment. I remember the day I volunteered for this. They told us we'd be giving up part of our humanity to save the rest. I accepted that. We all did. But was it worth it? Yuna asked. Ask me after we see if Earth survives the next 200 years, Taman replied. Then I'll tell you. 2 days until arrival at Council Prime. The galaxy held its breath and waited. The warning alarm screamed across the monitoring station at the edge of known space. Officer Peltic stared at his screen, his 3 eyes widening in disbelief. Something massive had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel, and it was unlike anything in the galactic database. The ship was enormous. It made the biggest war vessels look like toys. Its hull was black, darker than the space around it, and strange symbols covered its surface. Peltix tried to scan the markings, and his computer translated them slowly. JÖRMUNGANDR. Get Ambassador Velthar. Peltix whispered into his communicator. Get him now. 3 hours later, the Galactic Council chamber was filled with representatives from 40 different species. Holographic displays showed the mysterious ship from every angle. Ambassador Velthar, a tall creature with silver skin and 4 arms, stood at the center podium. We know what this is, Velthar said, his voice heavy. This is a human ship. The chamber erupted in noise. Voices shouted in 100 languages. It had been almost 300 years since anyone had heard from humanity. After the First Contact War, humans had retreated to their home system and gone completely silent. Most species thought they were dead. Some hoped they were. One ship? Someone called out. Why send just one ship? Velthar pulled up more data. This vessel is broadcasting no identification codes. It responds to no communication attempts. And according to our readings, it's heading straight toward Council Prime at steady speed. Then we stop it, growled Admiral Krostar, the military commander of the Talvarian Empire. His scales rippled with anger. We cannot allow an unknown human vessel to simply enter our core territory. Velthar nodded slowly. Assemble your fleet, Admiral. But be careful. We don't know what we're dealing with. Inside the JÖRMUNGANDR, Captain Daewon walked along the command deck with quiet, measured steps. His uniform was simple and black, matching the ship's hull. Around him, dozens of crew members worked at their stations, their movements efficient and precise. Commander Hana, Daewon said softly. Status report. A woman with short black hair looked up from her console. Her eyes had a strange quality to them, as if they glowed slightly from within. We're receiving multiple hails from alien vessels. They're demanding we identify ourselves and submit to inspection. And our response? None yet, Captain. As ordered, Daewon nodded. He moved to the main view screen where he could see the stars stretching past them. Somewhere ahead, an alien fleet was gathering. He had expected this. Chief Engineer Taman, Daewon called out. How are our systems? A stocky man with gray hair appeared on a side screen. He was deep in the ship's engine room, surrounded by machinery that hummed with barely contained power. All systems running at optimal levels, Captain. The core is stable. We're ready for anything. Let's hope we don't need to be, Daewon said quietly. Dr. Yuna approached the captain from behind. She was younger than most of the senior crew, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Captain, I'm detecting biological signatures ahead. 17 different species. Their fleet is massive. How massive? 200 warships. Maybe more. Daewon smiled slightly. They're scared. Should they be? Yuna asked. That depends entirely on them. Admiral Krostar's fleet spread across space like a metal wall. 200 of the finest warships in the galaxy, all bristling with weapons. The Admiral stood on his command bridge, his large clawed hands gripping the railing. The human ship approaches, his tactical officer reported. Range 3 million kilometers and closing. Open a channel, Krostar ordered. All frequencies. When the channel opened, Krostar's voice boomed across space. Attention, human vessel. You are in violation of the Isolation Treaty. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded for inspection. This is your only warning. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then, a calm male voice responded in perfect galactic common language. This is Captain Daewon of the Earth vessel, JÖRMUNGANDR. We are here to speak with the Galactic Council. We have no hostile intent. However, we will not be detained, boarded, or inspected. Stand aside. Krossitar's scales flushed red with anger. You dare give me orders? I have 200 warships. I have one, Daewon replied simply. It should be enough. This is your chance to avoid conflict, Admiral. Take it. Target that ship, Crosstar snarled to his crew. All weapons. Fire on my command. Across the fleet, 200 warships locked their weapons onto JÖRMUNGANDR. Targeting computers calculated firing solutions. Energy weapons charged. Missile tubes loaded. Every ship reported ready to fire. Fire! Crosstar screamed. Nothing happened. The tactical officer stared at his console in confusion. Admiral, our weapons. They're not responding. What do you mean not responding? The targeting systems just went offline. All of them. Across the entire fleet. On every ship in the fleet, the same thing was happening. Weapons that had worked perfectly moments ago simply stopped. Targeting computers showed error messages. Fire control systems reset themselves over and over. Engineers ran diagnostics and found nothing wrong. Yet nothing would work. JÖRMUNGANDR glided forward, passing between the helpless warships like a shark moving through a school of fish. Captain Daewon's voice came across all channels again. We have temporarily disabled your ability to target our vessel. Your weapons are otherwise undamaged. They will return to normal function in approximately 10 minutes. We mean you no harm, Admiral Crosstar, but we will not be stopped. The black ship moved through the fleet untouched and untouchable. Every species in the galaxy watched through their communication networks. The mighty Galactic Council fleet, helpless before a single human vessel. As JÖRMUNGANDR cleared the fleet's position, Daewon broadcast one final message on all frequencies. We are en route to Council Prime. We will arrive in 4 days. Prepare representatives for negotiation. Humanity is ready to talk. Then the ship's communications went dark. The massive vessel continued forward, silent and unstoppable. On Council Prime, a young analyst named Priax worked late in the archives. She was searching through old human data files, trying to find any information that might explain what they were facing. Most files from before the war were corrupted or deleted. Then she found something, a fragment of a transmission barely readable, dated 287 years ago. The file was marked for deletion but had somehow survived. She read the words slowly. Project JÖRMUNGANDR, status active. Sleeping God protocol engaged. Authorization Earth Defense Council. Classification Omega level. Priax felt cold despite the warm archive room. Sleeping God protocol. What did that mean? She tried to open more of the file, but the rest was corrupted beyond recovery. Only one more line was readable at the bottom. May the galaxy forgive us for what we're about to become. Priax reached for her communicator with a shaking hand. Ambassador Velthar needed to see this immediately. Whatever was coming toward them, it had been planned for nearly 3 centuries, and it was called a sleeping god. 4 days suddenly seemed very, very short.